This video will explore how to use JavaScript to manipulate CSS styles within the Document Object Model or DOM. We'll delve into modern techniques for achieving dynamic styling effects. These techniques are essential for creating interactive and engaging web applications. Let's begin with inline styles. Inline styles are a way to directly apply CSS to specific HTML elements using JavaScript. This method allows for immediate and highly specific visual changes. When using inline styles, we access CSS properties directly through the element's style property, for example element.style.backgroundColor. It is important to note that CSS properties are written in camel case in JavaScript. For example, background color becomes background color. Also remember to include units for values, for instance pixel m or rem. Since these styles are applied directly to the element, they have the highest specificity in terms of CSS. Here's a demonstration of how you can use JavaScript to dynamically manipulate inline styles. We have an interactive element that shows the basic concept. As you see, properties set via the style attribute take precedence over any other style sheet rules. You can also use the object.assign method to apply multiple properties at once. In addition, here is a function that converts CSS string to style object and then applies it to the target element. Now let's explore the ClassList API. This is a modern and powerful way to manipulate CSS classes on HTML elements. It offers a more efficient and intuitive approach compared to directly managing the class name property. The ClassList API provides several core methods such as add, remove, toggle, contains, and replace. The add method adds one or more classes to an element. Similarly, the remove method removes one or more classes. The toggle method is used to add a class if it's not present, or remove it if it is. The contains method checks if an element has a certain class, and the replace method replaces an existing class with a new one. All these methods support multiple class names as arguments, which makes the ClassList API really efficient. Here's a practical example of how the ClassList API is used in real-world applications. We have a status element which is in default state. Now, using JavaScript, we can dynamically change the state of the element, say for example, to a success state. Similarly, we can also change it to an error state. As you can see, these changes happen by adding and removing classes using the ClassList API. Remember, it is better to use ClassList over classname for better performance. Also, use semantic class names and combine them with CSS transitions for smooth effects. Now let's explore computed styles. The getComputedStyle method is used to retrieve all computed CSS properties and their values for an element. These styles include all the styles that are applied to that particular element, not just the ones which are directly defined using inline style. The values returned are always read-only and in their final computed form. For example, pixel values instead of percentages. The getComputedStyle method is useful for a lot of things like making calculations, animations, and creating responsive design logic. Here are some common use cases of computed styles. One of the common use cases is responsive animations. You can calculate the dimensions of any element to create smooth responsive animations based on the sizes rendered. Another use case is dynamic layouts. You can read and adjust element properties in real time for dynamic, responsive layouts and positioning. Computed values are read-only and represent the final values after all the CSS rules are applied to that particular element. It can also be used for implementing things like element resizing and dynamic positioning of elements. Let us now discuss CSS custom properties, also known as CSS variables. These allow you to define reusable values in CSS. Custom properties can enable dynamic values in CSS, scope to specific elements or globally in the root, and the inheritance also follows the DOM tree. Also, custom properties can be manipulated using JavaScript for dynamic theming. Here's an example of how to define and use CSS custom properties. Also, you can see how to get and set CSS variables in JavaScript. Here are some of the real-world applications of CSS variables. They are primarily used for implementing dynamic theming systems. This includes things like implementing dark and light themes and custom color schemes with dynamic updates. Here you can see a card example that has its styles applied through CSS variables. You can organize these variables by category and use semantic naming conventions for better implementation. You should also consider fallback values in case a value of a variable is not available. You can also store user preferences in the local storage. Finally, let's explore how we can use JavaScript to control CSS animations. JavaScript can be used to listen to animation events and dynamically change animation properties. Animation events like animation start and animation end can be used to monitor the animation states. In addition, properties like animation duration and timing can also be modified dynamically. Using these, complex animations can be controlled dynamically using JavaScript. In addition, for smoother animations, prefer using Request Animation Frame whenever possible. If you like this video, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. Visit CodeLucky.com for more such useful content.